do something.
Okay, could you explain what it is that you're doing?
You will see in a second.
Or you could just say it.
I'm going to in a second.
So we have all this dead air while I find something to talk about so that we are.
No, we're ready to go. What's up, guys, and welcome to No Collar Entertainment.
Oh my God, it's the Grinch.
Oh my God, that is the Grinch.
Yeah.
How the hell do you do Sean Connery?
You did a Welsh
Hello,
accent.
everyone. Welcome to No Collar Entertainment.
That's
still the
close,
Grinch?
sir, but not by much.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to No Collar Entertainment. This is Matt.
This is Ariane.
This is Juice.
And we are back for
Squeegee Side Chick Wednesday!
Squeegee Side Chick Wednesday!
You know, we should start tagging them in Instagram and shit, just so they know that we're promoting them. Maybe they'll get us free pizza. Or tell us to stop using their names. One or the other.
No, because if we stop using their name, then we kill the alliteration.
But if they send us a cease and desist,
That's
we
fair.
got to.
That's fair. That is.
Or I can finally get canceled.
No, because that's not being canceled. It's fucking being sued. At that point, we just cancel ourselves because we basically give them all our money and say we're not going to do anything else we can't.
Doesn't everyone kind of cancel themselves, though, if they get canceled?
Nah, I mean, kind of. People stop booking you. That's kind of how that works.
Alright, so we are back on Squeegee Side Chick Wednesday, and we are continuing the Wheel series where we critique a different movie every week. And, sweetheart, would you like to take the honors of detailing the movie that we will be talking about today?
Yes. We are talking about The Hunt for Red October. It was the debut novel. It's based off of the debut novel by Tom Clancy of the same name, The Hunt for Red October, that was published in 1984, which conveniently enough is actually where the movie takes place, even though it was released in 1990. Few things about the film. Stars Sean Connery, Alec Baldwin, James Earl Jones, Sam Neill, one of the Skarsgårds, Skellen.
Isn't he the dad?
I don't know.
In what?
Isn't he the father of the Skarsgård?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Bill and
Alexander, excuse me, yes.
What was it? T.P. Peter Firth, Jeffrey Jones, did I say Tim Curry?
If you
Tim
didn't,
Curry, and a former presidential nominee, Fred Thompson, amongst others, and those are just the ones that I recognized.
Styx from Daredevil.
I said Peter Firth.
No, actually, Peter Firth is not.
No, that's someone else. That was
political
no, that is not him.
Who is it then?
I didn't catch it in
Scott
the
Glenn?
Probably Scott Glenn, yeah.
Scott Glenn sounds right.
Yeah.
Oh, Peter Firth. Oh, that was the guy that was the political officer.
Yeah.
Oh, my mistake. I'm so sorry. So when the movie came out, it was widely received, popularly. It was the 20th biggest weekend of all time, and the biggest biggest non-summer, non-Thanksgiving weekend to date. So I have to wonder if that also includes Black Panther, simply because that also opened up in March, and that one had a pretty big opening as well.
Black Panther was February. I'm sorry.
Was it February?
Yes. Because it was.
But it doesn't say which month. I'm just saying.
No. Okay.
It's a non-summer, non-Thanksgiving opening.
I understand.
This was the biggest one of
as
so far.
kind of the one who's been following the MCU pretty
Even
closely.
bigger than Black Panther?
Apparently.
So by adjusted dollars, probably too.
Yeah.
But this is also the first in a line of franchise Tom Clancy films.
Yes.
Oh, this is the first of the Jack Ryans.
Yes.
First of the Jack
Oh,
But
wow.
they have the first book that he wrote too.
That explains a lot. Then.
So yeah, it went on to gross 122 million in North America and 200 million worldwide, 17 million opening weekend. This is the weird thing. So it's got 80% from Rotten Tomatoes.
Mm-hmm.
The average rating is 7.7.
Yep.
Metacritic is a lot more critical of it. It's like 58 out of 100.
What?
So based on 17 critics, whereas the other one was based on 76 reviews. So it's a smaller base. So
Still.
half of those people hated this film.
And they're wrong.
And the other, yeah, they are. And the other half, like, loved it, basically. I mean, like, maybe that's not that much of a span, but that's a pretty big number to, like, basically say 50.
I might dive into that while you keep
yeah,
going.
you go ahead. I think the problem is that, based on, like, kind of Wikipedia, they're like, some of the critics, like Ebert and Siskel, are like, this is a fantastic film. And then you have, like, Newsweek and somebody from New York Times basically sounded like they wanted more action. It was too slow for them.
Well,
I could see
I can see that, but I think they're still wrong.
Yeah.
Like, they just didn't want to think about anything. So, it won for Best Sound Effects Editing for the Academy Awards that year. It was nominated for Best Film Editing and Best Sound. I'm not going to be able to figure out who did it in 1991 because they don't break it down like that. But Sean Connery was... Oh, Dance with Wolves came out that year. That's probably why. Yeah, Ghost and Dick Tracy also came out that same year. Goodfellas. That was a pretty good year.
That's a good
Misery.
Year. Oh, shit.
I wouldn't say Total Recall, but yeah, Total Recall's in there as far as, like, classic movies.
Yeah.
It's like from the 90s or whatever, late 80s.
Holy shit,
so,
that's crazy. That's a really good year for movies.
That's a pretty good year for,
And I was only 4 that year.
I don't know about how old I was, but I would have been old enough to remember all of that. I saw Dick Tracy in the theaters when it came out. I remember that.
That's fine, but for at least for my frame of reference, we don't need to bring up yours.
No, I just remember I did see all of not all of those movies, but I saw Dick Tracy in the theater. I must have watched the rest of those movies at some point as an adult or like as a kid, like at home with HBO or video rentals or something like that. But yeah, but that was a crazy year for really good movies, and that was kind of kicking it off because like a bunch of really good years came after that in the 90s. Anyway, Sean Connery was nominated for Best Actor for the British Academy Awards, but did not win. So that's kind of just a little bit of the background, just so we can dive into that. First impressions, I will start with Matt, and then we'll go around.
So me personally, I like dialogue-driven war movies with a hint of action or the threat of action, especially when you're talking about nuclear war.
Yeah, okay.
Like, it's really, in my opinion, the only way to do it. Because if you have a full-out, blown-out action scene in this film, someone's getting nuked.
Right.
Based on the players at play. So, I personally like the dialogue-driven. There's some decent comedy in it. It is well built with a fantastic pace. And it's nice to see each side coming to ahead in the third act.
Yeah.
And all these different pieces you're watching throughout the movie meet at one point, and what happens there, leading to the ending. So I think it's a fantastically built movie, and I want to leave it at
that. Juice?
So I'm usually not a big fan of dialogue-driven movies. What else? Was Crimson Tide was dialogue-driven, wasn't it?
It was, but not.
No, not as much. So here's what I'm gonna say. I enjoyed this movie. At the beginning of the third act, I did kind of start to like zone out a little bit because I'm only running off of like 4 hours of sleep. So I just I stopped thinking about it and I just watched it. Let's put it like that. I turned off my thinking brain for a minute and just absorbed it as it was. But I think the movie, the pacing on it is to a point where it lets everything breathe and you absorb everything. It's really well done. I have nothing. I'm probably not gonna have anything negative to say about it. Except for just my own personal physical state right now. So yeah, that's me.
So I was just looking up something real quick just to kind of like confirm my theory on it. This is probably one of my favorite. It's classified as a spy thriller, political thriller, dialogue driven, but it's also a naval warfare or naval battle movie. I think that I'm gonna list off some real quick. That have been made in the last. What's up?
I'm sorry. Go ahead, and then I'll get back to it.
Oh, okay. I'm just gonna list a couple real quick. Master Commander, Pearl Harbor, U-571, Crimson Tide, Dunkirk, Battleship. I Under Siege with Seagal.
Yeah.
Men of Honor. In the Heart of the Sea. These are all classified as naval warfare movies. Hunter × Red October is easily my favorite of all the ones I just listed.
I can see that.
And those are the ones I've seen, because there's others. I don't count 2019's Midway. I know there's an older one that I haven't seen yet. The closest one that I actually probably enjoyed out of all those is U-571, which was also another submarine movie set in the time of war or whatever. I've never seen Dunkirk, actually, but obviously I've heard good things about it. I have never seen Battleship. I've heard nothing but terrible things about it.
Well, it is a Hasbro movie based off of a board game.
Of course. So, well, but Pirates was based off of a fucking Disneyland ride.
So was the Haunted Mansion.
And
Both
Pirates is spawned several. It re-catapulted Johnny Depp's career. It revitalized the pirate ship themed stuff, like in entertainment or whatever, after that other movie with Jane Davis fucking killed it for a while.
That's fair, but that is Disney. The other one is just.
What I'm saying is that it's just a Hasbro movie. Like, yeah, but so is this one over here is about a amusement park ride, and it spawned like 5 more movies that were very, very commercially successful.
Fair enough.
So, like, that said, it's also Battleship, and I know enough about it just to like know it's not a very good movie. But my point is that my favorite parts of the film. There's lots of favorite parts of the film.
I was like, you want to wait till we get to the favorite part?
No, but what I love is, and this is why Jan de Bont is kind of like genius, is he did cinematography, and it was the way it was shot. Yeah. So I'm gonna stop there with regards to like first impression. It's just very well. My favorite part of the movie is the pacing, everything about it. So I'll just go into my greats and stuff later on. But I'm gonna stop there.
So, Strange said, almost killed Matt. Next time I will succeed.
Our D&D game is what he's referring to.
And he said, no, Matt, it's fine. Rate the war movie higher than Coming to America. Again.
That's fine. I probably will too, honestly.
Spoilers.
Okay. That most likely will happen. I think I'm the only one that gave Coming to America the highest score, but that's for nostalgia.
But what did you give it anyway?
I gave it a 9.
Why did I give it? Probably like a 7.5 or something?
Yeah, you give it a 7.5. And looking back, I rated it too high just based off of the nostalgia, but I still really enjoyed that movie.
Okay.
But that's not what we're talking about today. We are talking about The Hunt for Red October,
yes.
Which I sometimes get confused with The Sum of All Fears, but that's a different movie.
It's a very different movie.
But it's based in the same world.
Is it? Sum of All Fears is Tom Clancy?
Isn't it?
I didn't think so.
Isn't it Jack Ryan?
No, I'm pretty sure it's not. That might be John Grisham though. No, that's not John Grisham either.
Well, it's the other. It's another movie with Sean Connery, I think.
Fears 2002.
Oh no, nope. Never mind. I'm still thinking of The Rock. Anyway, we're talking about.
Oh my God, you're right. It is Jack Ryan. I'm so sorry.
What?
I did not realize that. I thought that he.
The Sum of All Fears is Jack Ryan.
Yeah.
I did not realize that.
Is it still Alec Baldwin?
No.
No, Alec Baldwin
is Ben Affleck.
I'll take it.
That's probably why I didn't think about it.
There have been 4 Jack Ryans at this point.
I thought there only been 3.
5.
It's the 5th
Who's
one.
the 5th? Not Krasinski. Are you including Krasinski?
No, so it's Krasinski.
Yep. Baldwin.
No, there's 4 Jack
Harrison
Ryans.
Ford.
Ben Affleck.
And Michael B. Jordan.
Is he Jack Ryan?
Michael B. Jordan's
Well,
Jack Ryan.
it's a Tom Clancy movie. I haven't watched it yet. I don't know if it's a Jack Ryan movie.
Anyway.
What? Okay.
Anyway, we're talking about this.
No Remorse is what it's called.
Okay.
Alright, so let's go ahead and get into the good. I would like to go first just to get it out of the way.
Sure.
Again, I was just kind of like in and out. I'm watching the film, mind you, but again, third act, I'm kind of out of it. Sean Connery I love Sean Connery. I haven't watched a lot of his movies, but when his specific movies, that man commands presence.
Mm-hmm.
In every scene he's in. I really enjoyed that first scene when he is talking to the crew when they're getting ready to set sail. I really like the presence he had, you know, in a room in that ship full of men. Just really enjoyed his presence. Alec Baldwin. When I think of Alec Baldwin, I really don't think of this movie because
Well, you never seen it, so
that's fair. The only things I've seen Alec Baldwin in is Beetlejuice and something else I probably can't think of.
He is in Beetlejuice.
He's in and like Saturday Night Live comes to mind. So I forget.
Way later in his career.
I know, but
Pearl Harbor.
Is he in Pearl
I haven't seen Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, he's the admiral or general that is in charge of Ben Affleck and Josh Hartnett.
So,
do not remember.
Okay, going Alec Baldwin. This movie, I liked him. I didn't feel very strongly about him.
Alec Baldwin is the same in just about every movie.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fair enough.
He's good. He's solid.
He's in The Departed.
He's never fantastic.
Yeah. And I think that's why that's why he's not like the lead, the main actor.
No, he's usually supporting.
Yeah.
No, he's usually the main.
No.
Now he's not.
No.
When he was older, this time in his career, he is starting to become more the main.
Right.
So, what else was he in? Going back a second, because this is spanning his entire career.
Yeah, no
I'm
kidding.
still scrolling.
Well, as he's looking at that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Continue your good.
Continuing my good. The cinematography is really good. I talking about what Ariane said as far as like the way the film is shot. Because it's like with Crimson Tide, it's very intimate. And I really like that.
Oh,
The shot that you were talking about in the climax of the third act, that panning shot into the fuel tank.
No, the missile silo.
Okay, into the missile silo. That was really cool.
Just feels like you're going into a video game level.
But what I really appreciate about it, it's at that point when you realize how big the submarine really is.
Yeah.
'Cause they said it's a really big fucker.
Yeah.
Well, wait, which part give you the idea of size?
The missile silo.
At the end.
Oh,
Because-
Sweeping shot.
Because
because
everything else
Yeah.
is so tight knit. That's the only really big panning shot.
Well, you the first shot of them on the above, like when they're outside in the water.
Well, I mean I understand that, but like the exterior shot only gives me so much.
Okay.
If you get, I mean, you see it from the exterior, but in a wide shot, and it's by itself, you can't really determine
There's no scale.
Yeah, thank you. There's no scale to it. It's not until that one shot where you realize, oh shit, this thing is really fucking huge. So yeah. I think I'm gonna retire at that. Let's see. Strange says, on to this current movie. I've seen it once. I was a teenager and it was so boring to me then, but now older and with a longer attention span, maybe I should rewatch it. I would definitely consider it. Strange. I'm not gonna lie. This is my first time watching this movie, and if I wasn't on 4 hours of sleep, I probably would appreciate it a little bit more. But it is very well done. The pacing it's slow. It's a slow burn, but it heightens once you get to the tension and the climax. It's worth it. So I will leave it at that. And he also said Alec Baldwin was in 30 Rock. Is fantastic in 30 Rock.
That's what comes later in his career.
Yeah.
In the 80s and 90s, this is just a list of the movies that he starred in. Some of them you may not recognize, but like he clearly was the lead man. Beetlejuice.
Yep.
Hunt for Red October.
Yep.
Miami Blues.
Nope.
Malice. The Getaway. The Shadow.
Yes.
Monster, Ghost of Mississippi. The Edge. The Confession. And then after that, he starts to get into more voice acting.
And TV.
And TV and kids shows.
Yeah.
Pearl Harbor is probably his first one that we see after he's kind of like made his name, where he's more taking the backstage to like the younger leading men. Cats and Dogs, I think he's a lead he's the lead in that movie, but he's the voice.
He might be.
Final Fantasy, he is a supporting character in that
He's
one.
in Final... Wait, the video game?
The Spirits Within movie that came out in 2001.
Oh, I've never seen it.
Which is where I first saw the Spider-Man trailer when it first came out, before they took the Twin Towers out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that gives you an idea how long ago that fucking was.
Holy shit.
But so... He
That's
used
a really
to be
good movie too.
Yeah. I actually haven't seen it almost at all since it came out.
It was a pinnacle of CGI technology.
It really was.
Okay.
But like, I should put it on a list at some point. I haven't seen it forever either. But yeah. So as far as his
Overall
like career, it starts not like a dive, but he can basically kind of step back. He doesn't have to be the lead all the time. He's older. And those are going to the other men or whatever anyway, and he's Alec fucking Baldwin. He kind of already like showed his chops to the stage,
Yeah.
so he doesn't have to do a lot of that shit anymore.
Especially now after the shooting incident. Yeah.
Now more than ever.
Yeah. And I mean,
Now's a good time as any to fucking retire.
His brother never really gave him any competition.
Which brother?
Which
like
he has three of them.
The main one.
Steven?
William?
Yeah. The
Well,
first one
yeah.
I think of is Steven.
William is the second youngest one. He's the next one who had actually a better career than Steve. Steve probably is more recognizable because he's had more, I don't think commercial successes, but like...
More commercial roles.
Yeah.
Barney Rubble.
Yeah. Wasn't he in a movie with like Paul...
Pauly Shore?
Yeah.
Biodome.
Is that what it was?
I think that's...
Jesus Christ.
Is that Steven or is that Billy?
That's definitely not
Steven?
Billy.
Yeah, no, Stephen Baldwin did all
The crappy fucking movies.
really weird roles.
Okay.
Well, William did some weird ones too, but they were more artistic.
I couldn't tell you a William Baldwin movie.
I know he was in Gossip Girl, and that's about it. I know I've seen one other movie with him in it, and I couldn't tell you off the top of my head what it is, but he played like Blake Lively's father.
Sure.
So
anyway, that's enough Baldwin talk.
Yes.
But so on your list, I did react to The Shadow because I did see that as a kid because it is a comic book movie, and I think it's on.
Well, it was a comic. No,
It's a
radio spot, or did they make the radio after?
I apologize. I disrespected Rick Moranis, and I must fix this.
Please.
Rick Moranis was Barney Rubble in the original Flintstones, and then Stephen Baldwin
You're absolutely right. I can't believe I didn't catch that the first
sequel.
time.
No, technically it's a prequel. Viva Rock Vegas
Whatever.
before they got married.
The second movie that came out. And he was also in Usual Suspects. But still playing the same dumbass character.
Right.
Oh shit, that's right. He was in that one.
Give me all your fire!
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
No, so strange. It's not Alex Baldwin. It's Alec with a C.
Either way,
First
we got
and
5
foremost.
watching, so let's keep moving. Let's keep rolling.
Yeah.
Welcome to the stream, everybody.
Originally created to be a mysterious radio show narrator, The Shadow was later adapted into forms of media, including American comic books and feature films.
Well, there you go.
So, yeah.
And I believe it is on my list because I have not seen that movie in years.
By the way, also The Shadow also stars Tim Curry.
So
Yes,
was that it for your good, or?
Yeah, that's it for my good. So whoever wants to go next,
I'll
have
go
at
next.
it.
So the acting is phenomenal. The way the characters play off each other is fantastic. Even with just their actions. And I noticed early on that this is kind of exposition done right.
Mm-hmm.
For example, they do the... I'm going to compare it to Deadpool because Deadpool did it in a very obvious way, and that's why Deadpool actually probably should get some more negative marks than I gave it. Even though it's great. Everyone go see Deadpool. But anyway, the exposition at the very beginning, he's going to meet a guy, and he's like, "Are you working on models now?" And he's like, "No, I'm working on this new sub that we can get to anywhere 24 hours.
Yeah.
And it can attach to anything." Just in a very throwaway, this is what I'm working on.
Yeah.
And then they go into the plot, and then they have to use said submarine later on in the movie to actually get from submarine to submarine. And it's not like really in-your-face exposition. And they do it with something else as well earlier in the movie. It's so well written, which is what you should expect from Tom fucking Clancy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's pretty much the American James Bond is Jack Ryan.
Yeah. Just without sleeping with the women.
And the License to Kill, honestly.
Yeah.
So it's more dialogue, it's more politically driven, it's more intrigue, with a pretty good action in the third act usually. Special effects weren't in your face dated, so those were all fine. The submarine jumping out of the water at the end was
That was
still
a really cool,
gorgeous,
shot.
and I'm pretty sure that's just real footage. I think they really just shot a submarine.
It's possible. And they also might have used like a really life-size model or whatever.
Yeah, like a miniature
and
maybe.
Scaled it, but yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that.
But either way, that's still a gorgeous shot at the end. And no, it's just overall a really solid, well done, well acted, well written film.
One thing I do want to comment on real quick is the subversion of the subversion in the plot, because you assume that Connery's character is set up as the antagonist.
Yeah.
Up until the twist, and then you realize the real antagonist is the political governments at play, specifically the Russian government. Once we find out what Connery's motives are, so I really enjoyed that aspect, because this entire time I'm thinking, okay, he's trying to get to the United States to bomb the United States. No, he wants out of everything.
I don't think we actually gave a synopsis of the movie. The synopsis of the movie is that basically...
No, we did not give a synopsis.
The Jack Ryan, a CIA analyst, suspects that a Russian sub-captain who has taken out this new sub from Russia in Cold War 1980s
with the new stealth drive.
With a new stealth drive, maybe actually trying to defect rather than attack the United States. And as the race against time with the United States, who actually are being tasked to help, as well as help those Russians try and hunt down the sub-captain played by Sean Connery and kill him basically before he gets to America.
Yeah.
And it's with a lot of intrigue and very well-paced dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
I have one more good one that I wanted to make sure that I mentioned, because I was watching it. I knew the switch was coming. So this movie starts off in Russian when you're on the Hunt the Red October.
That tripped me out.
And then it changes to English in one scene.
Yes.
And basically, a gentleman is reading a passage from the Bible, from Revelations, about the end of the world. And the language changes on the word Armageddon. And the way it was written and the way it was shot and everything, I was sitting here and I had the thought, I wonder if Armageddon is the same in Russian as it is English. I was looking at the trivia and I was confirmed.
Yeah,
they are pronounced slightly differently, but they are said, it's the same word.
Right.
So I loved how they used that word to change to English.
Yeah. Well, it's because it's from the Bible, and Bible will be translated from original Hebrew or whatever it was. And so while some words obviously your basic language shit is gonna be different as it's translated from Latin to English to Russian to Chinese or whatever. Some words would be original to the language. There's no translation for Jesus.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. So. Armageddon would probably say the same.
So I just caught that and I was I wonder if that's the same word, and it was confirmed.
The way it was shot, the way it was shot threw me off, because I was why are we zooming in on his mouth? And then it switched over. I was oh, neat. And also weird at the same time. I appreciate it, but it just it perturbed me.
It was to symbolize that they are speaking in Russian. Basically, the characters are speaking in Russian the entire time.
Right. But
however, for our audience purpose like this, we need them to be speaking in English. We're not going to watch them speak.
It's kind of I took it. I understood it at that aspect, and I appreciate it. I even made a comment I was wondering if we were gonna hear Sean Connery speak English at any point, because it's Sean Connery. You want to hear him speak English. And it's like when we watched Prey, even though they're speaking English the entire time, but we have to make the assumption that they're speaking in whatever native language.
No, and it's actually the same technique that's employed a couple decades later in Valkyrie with Tom Cruise.
Oh, cool.
About the plot to kill Hitler. The movie starts in German. That's what I just said.
Oh, did you? Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm reading Strange's comments, which we have not got to in a little bit. So.
Yeah. It is a technique that's used later, I super enjoy it. I'm gonna let you go over Strange's comments because I did have one more thing I saw in here that I wanted to mention.
All right, so Strange also said, I had no idea Alex Baldwin had brothers, and he says, if that says anything about their lasting success of the young millennial and early Gen Z. I know it autocorrects to Alex for some reason.
I did see it.
It happens with Matt's name to unless I capitalize the M in it, it will change to matter. And oh yeah, Jesus translates to Jared, just like my name. Huh, weird.
Okay, so 2 things about, or my last 2 things, and then it's all yours, baby. I love interesting trivia when it comes to movies, so I'm going to end with these 2 gems. First of all, is that after the release of Tom Clancy's novel, The Hunt for Red October, some members of Congress contacted the CIA demanding to know why the Russians had invented a Caterpillar drive before the U.S. Navy did.
I saw my.
Although the results of good research, the Caterpillar drive is pure fiction. So just another example of our Congress being idiots. And some of those city members of Congress are probably still there. The other part that's super interesting is 2 more things. Sticks from Deadpool and Sean Connery both co-captained submarines in preparation for this role, where they were allowed to give orders and act as captain on the submarine.
That's pretty cool.
Last thing was that Alec Baldwin was the second choice for Jack Ryan.
Who was the first?
Harrison Ford.
Which they got eventually with.
Who turned it down. And then they were releasing Patriot games, and Alec Baldwin demanded a pay raise. Because, well, I mean, it's the best non-blockbuster movie of all time. He's granted.
It is?
You just said that.
Oh, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
It's the...
You look to argue with me even when I make your own points.
No, I misunderstood what you were saying. Sorry.
He wanted more money because
he wanted more money because the first one performed so well.
Yeah.
Reasonable. The studio responded with, well, for that much money, we can get Harrison Ford. And Alex stood his ground, and the studio said, fine, we'll get Harrison Ford.
Wow. Alright. So, my trivia real quick. The movie was supposed to be shot on sound stages on the Paramount lot, since you can't shoot a real movie on a submarine. Because it's, as I mentioned earlier, like in other things, like when they do it, it's super fucking claustrophobic, according to Sean Connery. That doesn't mean actual subs weren't involved. The USS Houston and its crew spent a month working on the film. They surfaced more than 40 times during shooting, either in rehearsals or for the camera. So that shot coming out of the water was actually probably a fucking sub.
Sweet.
That makes it even better.
Yeah.
That raises my score just a tad.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. I like good practical effects.
Oh,
no,
absolutely.
hell yeah.
If anything, and it's like we like to go back and talk about it. Movies like this, because of the practical effects, it grounds it a little bit more, but it makes it look better. I mean, CGI is fine when it's used right. Well, you overdo it and you take away from it.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
All right. Anything else from you, Matthew?
I am going to reserve my time and allow the congresswoman to speak.
Thank you. So, some of the obvious ones out of the way first. We've already kind of talked about it a little bit with the acting. That's just kind of without saying.
That's a gimme.
If I didn't already say James Earl Jones was in there somewhere, I'm going to throw that in there too. The writing, the pacing, and it's about like what you say and what you don't say sort of thing. So, like, for example, the scene with, I love the scenes between the NSA chief and the Russian ambassador, where both of them are not, none of them are saying what they actually know is to be true. Their very jobs, their lives require them to not let the other side know everything, even when it's in their best interest to at times. And not let them know what they know, basically. So, like, those scenes, it's this weird, like, back and forth, tit for tat, detente, or whatever, that I always enjoyed, because especially with the NSA chief, especially in that last scene where he's just being a shit. He's being an obvious shit.
Aww.
Oh, absolutely.
So what you talking what?
This was my grade.
Oh, what the?
Those two scenes with
those are
them.
Well, save it, baby. I'm still gonna talk about it.
Okay.
But yeah, no, like he's being a shit. He's being an obvious shit. Like, if you had just told us earlier, we could have helped you. Oh, you lost another ship. Like, it is just very obvious that he knows what's going on, and the other guy probably can sense that, even if he doesn't know 100% what's going on. And so, like, when Jack Ryan first comes into James Earl Jones' office, and they have what feels like the most uncomfortable small talk. Like, we're obligated to, like, say stuff. I forget there's a movie somewhere or a scene that talks like, oh, wait, I gotta ask about your family and stuff like that first. Like, how's the kids? Yeah, blah, 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 yeah. And that's kind of what it feels like. Like, why are you here? Let's get this going. But we still have to pretend like we know each other and, like, we're not just, like, jumping to the victory just to get something else. The NSA scene where everything, like, all the scenes, like, I loved it. The pacing, I disagree with the idea of the scale of the ship, and I mentioned it kind of earlier, and I'm going to give my reason why I thought it was a good with regards to the very first exposure we get to the submarine itself. Mm-hmm. This movie opens up on Sean Connery talking to Sam Neill on, I don't know what it's called, whatever that is, the very, very fucking top of a submarine when it's above water. Mm-hmm. And you don't know that's what they're doing until they finally do a pullback wide shot of the ship, and you can see these two small, tiny human figures who are obviously there. They're not like just stick figures or whatever. Like, they're physical people who are doing a wider shot from behind because Jean Bond is beautiful, as fantastic with cinematography. And you get a slower pullback wide shot from where they're standing to give you a bigger scale because you cannot fit the whole fucking ship in frame until you keep going back and back and back and back and back. And even then, you're only getting the top of it. But if you have any idea of how that proportionally works, obviously it's not floating on a flat surface. There's a whole lot more that's submerged, the same way that you would know if you looked at a whale and you saw it cresting over the water. You know there's a shit ton more of that thing below that you just can't see. And it's shots like that while the missile silo helped in giving more scale, that one actually didn't really help me in terms of the same way. One, a lot of that was set craft. Mm-hmm. It wasn't physically there, whereas the fucking submarine is in that pullback shot. However, what it did give me an idea is how massively armed a nuclear sub is.
Fair enough.
And so, like, you get that also when they do, like, this weird shot, not weird, but this other shot at some point when they're, like, cresting over underwater at the top of one of the subs, and you see all these, like, hatches, basically, like, in rows. Those are where ICBMs will be coming out. And so, like, there's a fucking lot of them. Why the hell would you have that many missiles? Why the hell would we need that many missiles on any one ship? Which kind of begs the question, but we're not going to go into that because that's not what we're trying to do here. But I think that shot in of itself kind of does force you to like, God damn, that's a lot of fucking missiles. Why the hell would we need that many on any one ship, let alone the hundreds of thousands or whatever that are out there coasting across the Pacific and Atlantic right now? I digress. The point is that the cinematography for this movie, I thought did a fantastic job in a way that I'm going to compare it to Christmas Tide, in that I felt like it felt more realistic in some of the slower angles, the graininess, kind of trying to see this ship further in the distance underwater because you wouldn't necessarily be able to see it that clearly, while still also giving a sense of the imperativeness of the action, the urgency, at times, especially in the actual naval battle that gets later on between the Tupolev ship, I don't remember the actual name of the ship, and the Red October. The tactics that go along inside of it, all of that, I love stuff like that. I understand how challenging it can be for a filmmaker to make it interesting without making it seem over the top and unrealistic, and that's why this movie, I think, succeeds, where a lot of movies that I listed earlier with regards to naval battles and everything kind of fail.
Right.
So that's just a few of my goods. off the top of my head, I think the movie just builds very, very, very well, and I'm gonna end it there.
Cool.
All right. So our bad. I'll go ahead and start. You have to be ready for a slow burn. This is not a movie, and you had brought it up. How you never really realized when it was dated.
Yeah.
Like when it was set.
Yeah.
Because it only tells you at the very beginning of the movie. But that begs the question: how many times have you seen that opening scroll?
Honestly, I'm not sure.
So my thought behind that is you can love this movie and you can really like this movie, and that's fine. It's a great movie. I don't think this is the type of movie where every other month or every few months you pick it and put it on and watch it.
No, I probably watched it like at least once or twice a year.
I think
once every 2
it's
years.
one of those you're flipping the channels and it's on. It's already 5-10 minutes in, and you just watch it because
That's
it's
very
a
much
good
also-
movie and it'll hook you quick.
That's very much also part of it.
There's a lot of scenes throughout the movie that can hook you just coming into that scene.
Yeah.
So I think that this is just one of those movies. So if you're going to sit down and watch it, you have to be ready for a slow burn and be ready to commit.
I was not ready for the slow burn, I'll be honest.
Yeah. So that is my only bad is that it's not like versatile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to jump in real quick before you go to your bad because I wanted to add one thing
That's
for
it.
good. Oh, no, you're fine. I just wanted to add one more thing for my good, which was character development. I think they do, it's all part of writing. A lot of the stuff that we talk about tends to come down to the writing, but you can still talk about the writing and still talk about ways in which it failed. So I think it's important to oftentimes point out the ways which it succeeds. And I think character development is one of the ways in where they very much succeed. You don't know much about Tupolev, right? The guy, the
Stellan
Skarsgård. Yeah. Except that Tupolev has a room in his heart for Tupolev. That's the one line we get about him from Sean Connery, and then his own actions later on show him kind of justifying that thought. Basically, that he's committed to what he's doing, he's ruthless, he's good at what he does, but he's kind of arrogant, basically, and it ends up being his undoing. But that one line combined with the actual actions of the character itself is the way that you write a minimal amount of character development or context or whatever without really spending a whole lot of time on it. Versus the scene we have with Fred Thompson and the other guy, I forget his name, on the one aircraft carrier they're on or whatever, talking about Jack Ryan, and how the other guy's like, I don't like him in the uniform. Like, well, he's been through some shit as a Marines, academy or whatever, so you might want to cut on some slack. And that's another way of kind of showing the kind of resolve and competence of Ryan, as well as giving him some shots for being, a veteran or being part of the armed service. So you shut your
Kind of
mouth.
also explains why he has a hard time sleeping on flights.
That too.
Because I'm pretty sure it's his helicopter crashed.
Yes.
Wasn't that it?
Yep.
Yep.
So that's why he can't sleep
Yep.
on flights. Which is also another resolution to character development that's almost never talked about throughout the movie, but you still get a resolution to it, and it's still fucking satisfying.
Yeah. When he falls asleep at the end.
Yeah, because he doesn't talk about it except for one real scene.
Yeah.
And then there's just another scene in the middle where it's reminding you of it, but not really reminding you of it. You just have this hilarious co-pilot, helicopter pilot,
Yeah.
who gives all of my little brother's energy. You're 100% right on this. Who just talking about the last turbulence they encountered was so much worse, and they were puking everywhere. Oh, by the way, do you want a Snickers? Fucking great. And then he sleeps at the end.
Yeah.
And it's just so gratifying.
I will say the one last thing, which I will probably slide into my bad at some point, but I'm just gonna mention it real quick. The cook. He's almost like a throwaway character,
Yeah.
and he just happens to be standing there, and it's not so much that I basically just this last time watching figured out that he was a KGB agent. Because Sean Connery, unless they make a mistake somewhere in the film, which is why I might count this as my bad, but I will think about that when I get to that point. Because Sean Connery makes a point when they are trying to get everyone off the ship to get a good and accurate head count. Which means that you would not want anybody left behind a ship that has a fucking nuclear leak.
Yeah.
So you better have everyone who's accounted for. You wouldn't want to leave anybody behind. So either the doctor left somebody behind, or that man was never on the fucking roster in the first place. And they make they make the mention of it with a political officer, like how many KGB agents do you have?
And he might be a KGB agent.
And it makes sense that he would be there to kind of like make sure everything goes the way it's supposed to. Realize that something's fucking amiss. He starts to sabotage the ship in a way that they weren't anticipating. And then, of course, when they offload everybody, he stays behind. And explains why he's also armed and why he'd be more familiar with the ship's wirings when he's supposed to be just a cook.
Yeah.
They don't explain any of that in the film, which is why I'm probably going to end up ultimately counting as my bad, but I will come back around to that.
I wouldn't do that because, again, it's unsaid exposition by having him pop up, be that close to the political... So, why is a cook standing there when they're unloading the political officer's body?
I assume they were by the galley or something.
I was thinking it's pretty convenient that he's passing by at this time.
Well, he wasn't passing by. He was
On top
standing
of
there
the
doing
line,
work.
Well, again, we don't know.
On top of the line about the KGB agent, on top of, all these little hints they give you, I think it absolutely is a KGB agent. I don't think it should be put as a bad because we send movies and give bads to movies who shove exposition down our throat. So to have one that just dropped subtle hints and this is what it is, but we're not going to tell you. You just got to figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm not going to allow you to mark that as a bad.
All right. Well, then I'm down with my good. So thank you, Juicy.
I'm gonna backpack on Matt's point. This you got to be prepared for a slow burn. I was out of it. Wasn't expecting it. I shut off a little bit towards the third act. So that's it. That's my bad.
Okay.
So my actual bad is...
And for the future, if we have seen the movie, I will give you at least an idea of what to do.
Please do so I can...
That way you can at least get some sleep and be ready to go.
Well,
Coffee.
no, I take responsibility in the sense that I shouldn't have taken the long way home.
No, and here's the other thing. I dozed in the third act.
Okay.
I'm on 6 hours of sleep. I also had practice and a bunch of other shit today.
Yeah.
But I was dozing at the third act because I wasn't ready for a slow burn today.
Yeah.
But it's fine. It's still a great movie.
No, yeah, it's still a great movie.
It's just my point stands that you have to be ready to sit down and watch this movie.
And on that point, actually, I guess my bad, and I will have another one, but my one bad on it being slow is that I remember when this movie more or less came out, and I'm probably 10, 9 or whatever, so it's not for me. I remember my dad loved it, and I knew Sean Connery, and I don't remember what I knew him from at that point in my life, but that was probably one of the first movies that I knew that made me aware of him.
This is before Last Crusade, isn't it?
This is well before Last Crusade, at least a couple of years. I think we looked it up last week or whatever or something. But so this would be one of the first movies I'd known about him being in.
Right.
So at the point that I'm 9 and I'm still watching cartoons.
Yeah.
So I'm not paying attention to a lot of live action films that are obviously not set towards a 9-year-old girl. And so I resisted watching it until I was probably, I don't remember when I finally fucking watched this film. When I finally did, I loved it, but much like the strangest point, I wouldn't have appreciated it when I was younger because it is a slower burn, because it is more cerebral, but because it's a well-done political spy thriller, and when those are well done, they're not going to have a lot of bombastic speeches. They're not going to have a lot of in-your-face action. It's going to be a well-choreographed ballet, basically, of words and what's said and what's not said, reactions upon reactions. And so that may not, we're as American movie audiences are not primed for those kinds of movies. We like them when they're done well, but we're just not ordinarily geared towards them. And the ones that do them suck at them because they can't commit to that perspective, and sometimes they overcommit, and it becomes a slog to get through. Yeah. This one does it very deftly. So that's why it stands the test of time, but it's understanding that, it is a little rough to get through if you're not prepared. Again, though, I would only say, and it's a slight, 10% bad of a thing, is the, not at least confirming that was a KGB agent. They didn't say, it's a goddamn cook. and we don't get the translation of what he says to him while they're standing there with a gun in his face and the guy holding onto the wires. So in that line, that maybe in a different version of the movie, they actually say what he says. He asks him if he's KGB or whatever, and the guy just smiles. That's fine. I would accept that. But since we don't have that translation, and I don't speak Russian, and I don't even know for certain that's what he even says, then I feel like that's something that is missing. That would at least have eliminated that confusion for me.
Yeah, I could see that.
So, but like I said, it's a 10% bad. Only also because I only just this today figured out that was a KGB agent. Otherwise, up to this point, I kind of thought that he was just a cook who was just super, patriotic, and these guys trying to scuttle his ship, and for somehow they missed him in the count. So
Okay.
that's my bad.
Cool. All right. So, ugly. Anybody got any ugly?
Not really. Not for this one.
I don't.
I'm trying to think if I have any. Not really.
Okay. No ugly.
Okay.
Wait, never mind.
I'm reaching.
Mm-hmm.
Uber American patriotism and uber anti-Russian. Russians are obviously the villains. Americans are the heroes. It's a reach.
We can have a discussion on that though, if you don't mind.
We don't have to.
I would love to.
I don't think we need to have it on this stream.
No, not on the discussion, but I just wanted to provide a counter perspective.
Okay.
Unless you wanted to offer something, Juice.
Well, I guess I may be on the same page. I may not. I think I think it's more so because of the setting. It's the Cold War. They're gonna portray the Russians. I believe. It
was made in 1990.
Yeah, it was made in 1990, but it's
set in 1984.
It's set in 1984,
very much during the Reagan years.
Yeah. Now my knowledge of history in that time period isn't well versed, but I'm not even gonna say anything else. I'm gonna pass it to you because you know better than I do. So go ahead, Ari.
Well, so I was just gonna say that I understand your perspective, and that is, do you wanna, she might need to go outside. So that would be a perspective, and I think that it's a fair accusation of Hollywood that at this time they are still putting out films that seem to promote a perspective of, America good, Russia
Everyone else bad.
Yeah, well, not just everyone else, specifically Russia.
And with very little gray.
With very little gray. But no, and that's not entirely true either, though, because the movie, at some point, while the antagonist, if there's anything, is Russia, the reality is at some point they're also asking for the Americans' help at some point during it in order to, think this is in our best interest, we need you to help stop this guy from starting war. Now it's a lie, but
yeah, but they're
still
lying, so they're still evil portrayed that way because we have the context as the audience.
No, I get that. What I'm saying is that the reality that they are trying to put forth is that we're still somehow is in our best interest to work together on things like this, which is kind of the world order, even if it's a fucking lie also. But no, I get your perspective. I see that.
Says we should always be aware of it, even when it's good movies.
No, and I see what you're saying. It's not as in your face about it like some of the movies are coming out this time.
No, it's just written that way.
And it is 1990, so this is after the fall of the Soviet Union. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a look back on how close we could have come to war, more than it is about against Russia, I think. What I will say though is that I looked at a quote. Tom Clancy is kind of conservative.
Are you surprised? The man writes military books.
It was more the quote that basically after 9/11 he kind of blamed the left-leaning progressive Democrat, whatever you want to call it, for 9/11 basically. Their policies caused 9/11. Which was a little wild for me. I just read that, so wasn't prepared for that.
I would like a little more context.
I'm looking for it. I will.
I'm looking.
In the meanwhile,
Yeah.
what I will say is, what I want in regards to what you were saying, Ari,
Mm-hmm.
like because the motivation of the Russian government in this movie is to get the submarine back.
Yes.
So I wouldn't say it's so much that they're portrayed as evil.
I didn't say evil. That's what I meant.
Well, according to Matt,
they're the antagonists.
yeah, they're the antagonists, but their motivation isn't to start war. Although we don't know what they're gonna do once they get the submarine back. Obviously, it's like, okay, well, we have this submarine, we have this dangerous weapon. Once we get the submarine back, because it's nearly damn near undetectable.
Yeah.
And that's their motivation. They're not trying to start a war, but they do want one of their best guns back.
So,
I see
I'm gonna go ahead and read it out real quick. I'm on the Wikipedia, political views of Tom Clancy. So in a week after the 9/11 attacks, he suggested on O'Reilly Factor that American left-wing politicians were partly responsible for the failure to prevent the attacks due to their gutting of the CIA. He said some stuff about Islam. I'm not really sure the context for that one.
No, he's actually. This is important. I don't want to just gloss over this because this is important.
Okay.
On September 11th, actually, Clancy was interviewed by Judy Woodruff.
Uh-huh.
And during the interview, he noted that Orthodox Islam does not permit suicide.
Okay.
So what he is saying there is that you cannot blame Islam or Muslims in general for this attack. These are terrorists. We're not attacking Muslims here. He was actually against demonizing Muslims, which was a big problem after September 11th. So he was on the right side of the fence on that one. So while he was conservative, I would say he was a moderate conservative.
The next one, that's fair, but the last thing I was going to say was that if you're talking about the ugly, one thing that people have gone back to kind of look over at some of Clancy's books, especially in the context of the Cold War, that they were popular representations of the Reagan-era Cold War values that reflect popular perceptions and predominant national security values of the Reagan era. Basically, that it was kind of propaganda light, basically.
Well, and that's what I was pointing out.
Yeah. So I think you're ugly. I think it's a fair point, and I will be done.
However, I want to point out that I do not advocate for the canceling of Tom Clancy or any demonizing of Tom Clancy. He has conservative views, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's when you become extreme and suffocating in your conservative views that I have a problem.
No, he passed away in 2013 before any of a lot of this bullshit happened. So
yeah,
Lord knows where he'd actually fall on that. But yeah,
it seems like you would fall on moderate conservative.
Well, one can hope. But so you didn't have any ugly. You had your ugly. My only kind of ugly is that it's, and I know it's for the same thing that you're saying with regards to yours. It's a stretch, but it's not a stretch, but like it is also. I'm trying to think, like, were there any like named female actors in this entire fucking film? I get it, and we don't necessarily have to have. We want more representation in general. It is very much on that keeping of like war.
Were there females allowed on submarines in 1984?
I doubt it, actually. So
well, then to keep to realism.
No, well the accuracy, the
accuracy.
The accuracy. The issue is that it's important to still, we want to elevate different voices. And I understand that wasn't that perspective in 1990. It is just another example of Hollywood kind of not doing that. That's all.
But in this case, it's based in a place where there would be no women.
Yeah.
So you would have to sacrifice accuracy.
And how many fucking movies do we have like that?
Those voices.
How many fucking movies do we have like that? Lots. That's my point. That's it. That's all.
Okay. All right. I don't agree with you on that one, but I'm just gonna let it go and I'll let you have it.
No, that's fine. It's like I said. It's not a big one. Because I understand this is I fucking love this movie.
I would prefer to have accuracy over.
I'm not saying that I don't want to have accuracy. It's the idea, like, what stories are we choosing to tell?
No, and that's where movies like Prey are super important and things like that, where you have the female stories that absolutely do need to be there. Hidden Figures, which we still have to see. I need to put that on the wheel.
No, and I'm really saying like we're just as more examples of Hollywood being.
Yes. No, I understand what you're saying.
That's it.
All right. Do you have any uglies?
I have no ugly.
Okay, then great. I'm going to start with this one.
Okay.
Because you already touched on it. the conversations between the actor who plays Hans in The Mighty Ducks as the Russian ambassador.
Josh something or other, I think Ackland.
He's also the villain in Lethal Weapon 2.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever seen any of those.
And I'm pretty sure it's the
And he's the antagonist in villain.
Secretary of Defense?
Could have been.
No, he's an ambassador.
No, he's talking about the American.
No. Hans is the ambassador. I think he's talking with
National
the
Security Advisor to the president.
Okay, so the National Security Advisor. Those two, there are two scenes. And when you go into these scenes, the audience has all of the true context to their conversation. And you watch these guys politic their way through this conversation and politically correct themselves to a resolution.
I'll politically correct myself, okay.
No, it is, because they're not telling the truth. They're saying a politically correct version of what's happening.
Okay.
Politically correct. So correct in politics, which would make no problems, which is what they're doing.
Okay. No, I'm saying okay. Go ahead, baby.
You would argue with me if I said a fishbowl was clear.
I also said okay. Jesus.
Anyway.
I can't not agree with you either.
Those scenes are both beautifully done, and they're so much fun and so much entertaining to watch because you have the context. They do such a good job of giving you the context where every bold-faced lie is seen, and you can just enjoy the fact that you know something they don't know, and it's just written very well and delivered very well. And I could watch those scenes at any point in time. So those two scenes are my great.
Juice?
Give me 1 second, because I am having a brain fart.
Okay. I am going to try to give my grade, because I'm trying to think of all my favorite parts in the movie. And the issue is that I'm struggling to find one particular scene that I would not just want to sit down and watch and get invested in. The NSA meeting is probably the first one that comes to mind. But I think Jonesy is also a great for me, just in general. In that, like, you get a sense of that character, and he's so crucial to the plot, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's the one who figured out how to find the
Red October.
The Red October. He explains things without it feeling like it's exposition. So we understand as audience members the technical necessity that a submarine can operate under. And so, like, even though, like, you don't need everyone else explaining, like, that you have the one actor at some point talking about, like, give me a map and, the timer, and I can fly that out so the windowless plane or whatever. And the only way that works is if you have sonar, and you have the sonar operator who's very well versed in what he does, and so he kind of is able to walk us through the movie in terms of understanding a lot of what's going on outside of the closed room that the submarine provides, because that's the only way we're going to see it. And so that's one of my greats. I feel like I have other ones, but that's the first one that comes to mind. So I just want to,
Cool.
Yeah. The fact they bring him out to, like, the Red October later on, and he's integral in them being able to, because he's the only one there who actually knows how to use the sonar since they got rid of all the other crew. So go ahead, Juice.
My greats are, so my first great is gonna be the scene of the run in at Thor's
Twins.
Thor's twins.
Yeah.
It was kind of it was like the first real action scene of this movie, because it gave you a little bit of tension, with the speed, because they're testing how fast they can move this submarine in essentially a tight space, and I thought it was just really neat, the way it's shot, the build up to it. It got me, that was like one of the first, that scene really got me invested in in the ship. My second great is the scene between Sean Connery and Sam Neill. I kept wanting to call him Alan Grant, but that scene at
Where you're talking about, when I get out of the army, I'm gonna go do this.
yeah, or when we get to the United States, I want to go to Montana.
That's the equivalent.
Yeah.
So this person's going to unfortunately eat it before the end of the movie.
Well, I didn't know that, but it goes back to whatever we saw a couple weeks ago, where it was just like it was a really nice heartfelt moment in this movie that's so politically dramatic.
Yeah.
It
brings it out a human level.
Yeah, and but it also is the beginning of the bait, or it's the beginning of the switch where we find out what their real intention is.
Well, and I was gonna say, one of the great things about that scene is not just the scene between those two actors. It's because that was another great of mine, was like the editing that goes on between showing their scene unaware of the American sub that's sitting just a couple hundred yards away from them, that the danger is experienced that they have right now, they're unaware of. And then you also have the shot of the sub, passing each other.
Yeah.
You have Jonesy trying to listen to everything and trying to see what's going on while they are talking over all of it, completely unaware of that stuff. And so, with the music and everything, also setting that tension, because you don't what's gonna happen if they find them. They don't find them, and you can kind of breathe a sigh of relief. But that's one of those really well done, just great scenes because of the subtext that's going on.
No, and thank you for bringing that up too, because as I'm watching it, it's like the way it's shot. It's almost as if the way it's shot plays off as if Connery kind of senses what's going on. I don't know if it's just me who sees it that way.
I never got that one.
That's the
I was always confused. I thought Jones could hear them. I know he can't.
No, I know he can't.
I got this,
but
that's what I felt.
What I got out of it, the way Sean Connery was kind of looking from afar, because he wasn't. There might have been a moment where he wasn't necessarily looking at Sam Neill. It was almost as if maybe he could sense something. That's what I got out of it as well.
I don't think that he does.
I mean, he doesn't, but that's what I.
I think that scene is more or less to show that this is a man who is troubled and mourning.
Oh, absolutely.
And so he's looking off, as in he is kind of looking back at the life that he's had, and there's a sense of failure, I think, there.
Yeah.
And he failed his wife. He kind of feels like maybe he failed himself, and he feels like his country has failed him in making the ship that he has.
That line that he said, "When I married my wife, I turned her.
I widowed her the day I married her."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was deep.
And so, I don't feel like that's...
It's actually a line from Thomas Jefferson.
Was it really?
Yes, it is based off a Thomas Jefferson line that he sent out talking about him and his fellow revolutionaries.
Huh.
Okay.
But so, that's interesting, huh? But so, that's a really good scene. I think, actually, I'm going to go back to my great, it's going to be the NSA scene. When Jack Ryan is really, first, we kind of get the introduction as to what we're doing here.
Right.
Jack Ryan is not prepared for what he's been tasked to do. I just came here to drop some information off, and I was going to bounce back home. Oh, wait, now I'm giving the biggest presentation of my entire fucking life ever up to this point, and possibly ever after it? What?
He was like, oh yeah, just an NSA advisor, a couple of 20 chiefs of staff, a few generals, and a treasures and a pear tree. Let's go.
Who's giving the speech?
You are. What?
The fuck?
Since when? No preparation. Do you do this on a regular? Because I do not. That scene is really cool in that it shows us it's kind of who Jack Ryan is. I'm just an analyst. I just analyze these things. I'm just really fucking good at analyzing. And so while everyone else in there is being bombastic because that's what the fuck they do, he's sitting there taking in all the information and provides a new perspective. I love the part where he kind of not breaks character, but he breaks protocol.
He breaks the tension in the room
by slapping the table because he's completely forgotten where he's at.
You son of a bitch!
And everyone's like,
Do you have something to say, Mr. Ryan? Do you have anything else to add?
And then he tries to offer a new perspective, and the feeling I get. The next thing is like, while he may be competent and he's also super nervous, he knows how to like assert himself. So when the general is like shooting him down, basically he's like, no, I'm not having any of that. I know the fuck I'm talking about. You don't. And I very much believe in this opinion. And so if you guys have another one, please show me some evidence. But this is where I'm at. And when the NSA director is like, I want to talk to you, two things happens. One of three. One, James Earl Jones' reaction is fucking classic. Where he's like, I told you to talk your mind, but goddamn, dude, like that's not what I had in mind. And like, but it's the idea that I felt like I'm in the principal's office.
Right.
Like, oh shit, I fucked up, Royal. This is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. But then, unfortunately, but like, then thankfully, the NSA advisor kind of just like, this is who I am. Like, I am going to give you a chance to prove yourself. Go prove yourself. And it kind of jumps the movie off. Yeah. It gives us the basis for why there's conflict in the first place. It gives us the basis for Sean Connery's motives. And it gives us a good idea of who exactly Jack Ryan is and what he's going to be capable of the rest of the film. So yeah, I think that's going to be my great. I can watch that scene over and over again. Whenever I come in on the movie, I'm like disappointed if I missed it. So yeah.
All right, so that now brings us to, I believe, our scores. So out of 10, I will go first. I'm gonna give this one. I'm gonna give this one an 8.5.
That's fair.
I am at an 8.25.
I am actually at an 8.75. I want to bump it up to a 9, but I recognize it can be a slow burn for some people. But I think it's just masterful.
So 8.5 settled.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
All right.
It's great because I was actually.
It's not where
I honestly thought about 8.75. I'm like, do I really want to do quarters?
And that's kind of.
I have to do quarters because it's better than Twister.
Yeah.
But I can't quite give it an 8.5.
No.
And that's understandable. I was kind of in the same range, but I felt like 8 might have been a little too low because this is a really good movie.
Yeah.
This is.
I agree.
Yeah, it's really good, and I think an 8 does it.
I don't know if I wanted to give it a 9, but I thought it was better than a 8.5. So that's where
I would definitely agree with you.
And that's actually kind of where not Metacritic, Rotten Tomatoes said was the critic score was 8.8. If I remember.
Cool.
So it's about right there.
All right.
Hey, we kind of know.
So, own it, stream it, rent it.
Own it just for the fact it's the first Tom Clancy Jack Ryan movie. And it's super well done, so there's no problem with owning it.
I actually would say stream it. And I think about this, actually we were talking as we were just around today or whatever, I was thinking to myself, like, there are movies that I would rate way lower than this, and I'd still be like, no, you should own this film.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's even though it's not a good film, it's still incredibly enjoyable. And then there are other films like this one that are incredibly enjoyable, but like, you don't have to own this one.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And so I would be at stream it for this one. I think it's still better than renting, because renting to me says, I'm gonna
watch it once and probably never watch it again.
No, yeah. And whereas streaming, I think it's
the option to rewatch is there without having to pay for it.
Right. And part of me like feels like renting means that it's a better film, or like you want to spend more money to see it every single time. But after having seen this movie as many times as I have in my life, I don't think I've ever paid for it, and I'm kind of okay with that. So.
And I agree with you in that aspect. So
I agree with Matt also.
Oh no, I agree. I agree with both.
But I'm still gonna recommend streaming it.
I would see this. Okay, so for me, it's a stream, and if you really enjoy it, own it. Yeah. That's how I'll put it. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Because again, it's a very good movie. It is enjoyable. It is a slow burn, so you have to prepare for it, and it's one of those where, like, if you really want to, like, sit down and watch it to, like, really watch it,
yeah,
you know, you have to, like, really, like, shut everything out and pay attention to it.
That is one of the downsides of this film. Like, there's some movies I can put on. I can put Twister on in the background and not think about it. I'm still going to probably at some point find some reason to sit down and fucking engage with it and watch it till the end.
Yeah.
But in general, though, like, there are films that I will happily put on in the background and it's, like, comfort background noise, basically, to me. This film is not one of them.
No.
I have to be actually watching everything on screen.
Mhm.
And that was one of the things that we were watching for the first time for you, that I was like, this movie is very dialogue driven. It's really important that we're not constantly making cracking wise because we're going to miss something.
Yeah.
And rather than go back and watch it again to miss something, to catch things you missed before, let's just watch the first time.
I agree with you. I definitely agree with you, and I do appreciate that you guys did that too. Because I did kind of I blanked out on it a little bit in that one moment.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess that brings us to the end of our discussion for the Hunt for Red October. Genuinely, very positive. I will definitely have to rewatch this at some point and just really kind of take it in again. It won't be anytime soon, but definitely in the future.
Yes.
Especially since we are doing another Jack Ryan in the potential future, depending on if we ever land.
I don't think any of them are actually really necessarily connected to each other.
No, I mean no, but for me, more so for me. So that brings us to next week's
wheel.
episode. Matthew, do you have your wheel ready to go?
I do.
All right. So with that being said,
Oh my gosh, she's so big.
she's talking about the cat. Wheel of morality. Turn, turn, turn. Tell us the lesson that we should learn.
Oh.
What we got?
Oh, so what are we doing next week, Matt? Oh no.
Jesus,
I don't know if I'm ready for this one.
Well,
What?
it's-
Alright, so next week we will be watching Zac Efron and MJF.
Oh.
Yes!
The Iron Claw.
Let's fucking go!
Alright.
It's about. Oh my god! It's about fucking time.
I don't know if I'm ready for all this. Okay. So yeah, we're doing this next week. We're finally doing the
The Iron Claw. The Von Erich story.
which I've been avoiding
As have I.
because I've heard it was rough.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Rough as in bad or rough as in...
Rough isn't rough. Not bad. I've heard it was
Okay.
good from everybody, and I've heard it's rough from everybody.
Okay.
So
Wow. So we have. Okay. So I have to mentally prepare for
we
this
were
one.
waffling between that and Trouble with the Curve,
Oh, I think I actually really watched Iron
baseball
Claw.
movie with Clint Eastwood.
Ah.
Yeah, I think I actually really watched Iron Claw.
I've heard Trouble with the Curve is really good though.
Yeah, I'd rather watch apparently this particular wrestling movie than a Clint Eastwood baseball movie.
Don't worry, we're still gonna get to the Clint Eastwood baseball.
Oh, I'm sure we will.
Yeah.
Because I want to get through a few of these before I start adding more movies to my list.
I'm trying to, but you know, every once in a while, I just keep being reminded about shit that I want to watch.
Yeah, until I get to 2 movies on my list, I'm not adding any more.
That's
So-
fair.
Well, I still have a plethora, so I'm good.
Yeah, please.
You guys said make a list. You didn't say how long.
So yeah, we will be doing Iron Claw next week. So super excited about that. Make sure you join us, like, share, subscribe, and comment. For No Car Entertainment, this is Matt.
There I am.
This is Juice.
We're out.
Bye.
What?
Peace.
One ping only.
Oh my god. Still cringe.
I was closer on that one.
Take us out.
Mm.